Welcome to, I believe this is our 12th session into Kubernetes study group. We're looking over the security groups today, or security of Kubernetes, especially looking at the API server and how we secured that connection as far as user accounts. So we're going to be going through our role-based authorization and checking out how that's set up in a Kubernetes and how you can create your role bindings and all of that fun stuff. So let's go ahead and start with that. And you guys can see the screen here.
Yeah.
Okay. So as always, we'll just go through here and through these questions and try to answer them to our best abilities. So the first one is going to be we're inspecting the environment and identify the authorization modes configured on the cluster. So with authorization mode, that's going to be, like as they tell you, it's configured on the cluster. It's one of the options. And for you to find that out, you just describe the API server and you'll see that authorization mode. And if we come up here, you see the authorization mode, node, and then RBAC. And something you should know that the way it checks the authorization is gonna go in order from the first one to the second one, and so on. If there was other authorization modes put on here, the other authorization modes that are not on this cluster specifically are gonna be your ABAC, which is gonna be your attribute-based authorization. It's pretty much you're setting the authorization per user. The difference with that with RBAC is you're setting it per group, and then you're adding the users to those groups. And then the last one that's not mentioned here is going to be your webhook, which is going to be your third-party authorization. So we're going to go ahead. Node RBAC is what we have for this API server. Go ahead, select that. How many roles exist in the default namespace? So for that, you guys remember key get roles, and they're asking for the default namespace. Can we just do that? Yeah. And as you can see, we don't have any. So just to double check, should be some somewhere. Yeah, so that is the right. It's gonna be 0 here. Hey, hey Patrick, I think you got a hot mic. I'm just gonna mute him for the time being. All right. Let's keep going. How many roles exist in all namespaces together? And as you can see here, we did do a get roles for all namespaces. And if there was a whole bunch of them that you couldn't really count it, what you can do is you can do a word count and do it by line. And of course, you got to take off one for the namespace for the header. So it's going to be 12 here. What are the resources the kube proxy role? And Terrell, feel free if you have any tips. Anybody else, if you guys have tips on how to do these, if you know how to get rid of the header, I know there is a way with awk that you can get rid of the header. I'm not sure how.
Yeah,
To
hey, I just do it like the way you do it, man, and just know to subtract one from the number and be done with it.
yeah, that's the simple way. And we'll just keep doing it like that then. What are the resources the kube proxy role in the kube system namespace is given access to? resources, the kubeproxy role. So let's take a look at the kubeproxy role. Here it is right here. And we could just go ahead and describe it. Describe role. And make sure we mention the namespace. Cube system. And it's going to be kubeproxy. And let's see. So they're asking what resources the kubeproxy is given access to. And as you can see here, it's going to be our config maps. Next up, what actions can the kubeproxy role perform on the config maps? That's going to be your verb. It's going to be the action. So in this case, it's just get. And the other options would be like list, delete, describe, things like that. And you can also throw wildcard in there that lets you know that you can perform all actions. But in this case, it is gonna be get action. And which of the following statements are true? Let's go through these. Kubeproxy role can get details of config maps objects by the name kubeproxy only. I mean, that looks to be the answer, but let's go through some of the other ones just to confirm. Kubeproxy role can only view and update. It cannot view, so that's definitely not it. Kubeproxy role can get details of all config maps. That's not true either. As you can see, the resource name has to be kubeproxy. Kubeproxy role can get details of all config map objects on the cluster. That is not true. And it cannot delete. So the first one is going to be our answer. Which account is the kubeproxy role assigned to? So to get that, we need to look at the role bindings. So let's go ahead and do a key get role bindings. And let's look at all namespaces. It's probably in the kube system. I see one called kubeproxy. So let's just describe that one. Describe --n cube system binding cube proxy. And that role binding which count is a kubeproxy role assigned to? It's assigned to a group. Yeah, so the role kubeproxy is assigned to a group called system bootstrappers. It's up here. kubeadm default node token. Yep. Threw me off for a second because I'm used to being user. A user dev user is created. User's details have been added to kubeconfig file. Inspect the permissions granted to the cluster role. Check the user can list the pods in the default namespace. So, and they tell you can use the auth, the kubectl auth command to check that. Terrell, do you remember doing this?
No, I don't.
Okay, so let's go through this line by line. A user dev user is created, user details have been added. Check if the user can list pods. So first we're just gonna check
The
what
file.
yep. Yeah, let's check what the role and the role bindings are for that user. So let's go ahead and do a describe. Well, first let's do a kget role bindings and see if it's obvious. All namespaces. Did it tell us a namespace? Say it's in the default namespace.
Default, yeah.
Oh, so it's just there is no role binding. Is there a role? There is no role.
Try check and see if there's any like cluster roles or something, maybe.
Um, yeah. So then we can do a K get cluster role for that. And we can do a graph here. Let's do a dev user. Okay, so there's nothing there as well. So what we can do, maybe there is no role and role binding created for them yet. Let's just see what the user can do. We can do a k auth command, and they specify there that we can do it as dev user. So this lets us see what can this user perform. And they're asking if we can list pods. So then we do a list pod, and it should tell us. I forgot something. K auth, K add, auth. Let's do a dash dash help. There's something that needs to be right there. Dash help. Oh, can I? That's what I missed. And I. And that should tell, so that tells us no, the dev user does not have the permission. So I don't think they have any
Can we go to the
file.
file, that config file?
Yeah, but that should just be our certificates. Let's do we could do a vim in this case. And
Or
it's gonna
cat?
be what is that? Do you remember the where the file is at?
I thought that file would be let's try Etsy. Is it Etsy Kubernetes Q config? If that's the right one. I don't know. I was in just in different ones just in
Let's see if this
Kubernetes
is
and
in here.
or try the one that's varlib. I think it might be the one in varlib Kubernetes.
Kubelet. We only have kubelet here.
Oh,
Let's see what's in here. There's a config in here, but that's for the kubelet.
not the Q config. Or it could just be the one what you're just finna do, if I'm not mistaken, like the dot it was dot uh cube or cube
That
config.
this yeah, this is what I think when somebody tells me kube config. This is the
I
file that I think of.
I think that is
It
the location.
and there is another file that the root user can use, but I forget where this should be just a
See, there
copy
go
of
the
this
user
one.
right there.
Yep. But this doesn't tell us the permissions. So this just tells us the certificates that the user is using and that it's allowed to use this. Like if you could see, well, we don't even have context for that user. So like what that means to me is that dev user is configured on this account, but it's not telling what cluster he's configured for. So I think that there's just it's not completely set up here.
Oh,
You just
cause yeah,
have
you're
dev
right. Cause the
user.
user normally would end up being up under like the where we can do like a cluster role or a role. When you
Mhm.
create a role and stuff, you're supposed to be able to see all of that. If I ain't mistaken.
That's I believe so. Um, because you can see like Kubernetes admin the cluster, like there's a context here for Kubernetes at the Kubernetes admin at the Kubernetes cluster. Yeah, see the name is for this cluster is Kubernetes. So I thought every user has to have context, but I could be wrong on that as well. We're all learning, trying to figure this stuff out.
Hey, let's
But
hit the hint button up there if you don't mind.
yeah, we can do that. Get pause as dev user. Run the command. Oh, interesting. I'm assuming that does the same thing that we just did. Copy that. Paste. Error from server. Pod is forbidden. Dev user cannot list
Yeah,
resources.
because we ain't create no role and stuff for the user
Yep.
yet. That's gonna be that reason why. So we was actually really trying to hunt and see is it a role yet, but this
It
lab
hasn't been created.
exactly.
Yeah, so dev user does not have permission. So next up, and of course, they're asking us to create that role for the dev user. Yeah, they give us all the specifics. Okay, so creating the role and role binding. The easiest way that I found to do so, you just go over to the documentation, role
Hey, let's
bindings.
let's do it the other way.
Is there another way? Can we do this one
Yeah, let's do the
imperatively?
imperative command. Like you
Hey,
can go like K create role, and if you need help, you know what I'm saying, do dash dash help. This will actually be the easiest way because they give you like the examples at the top section right there where it's an example. You put your
mhm,
verb, the name of the role, and you put the verb and
okay.
in the namespace if you gotta put it in the namespace, but it's default, so you don't have to do anything. So you can just use one verb equals, and then you can put a comma between like
Each
list,
one,
create, delete.
like this right here.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, let's do that. Key create, well, we can just go up, key create role, and
dash
the
dash
name
verb.
of the
Oh, the
role is gonna
name.
be the
Yeah,
developer. And
dash
dash
dash verb.
dash. Yeah,
Yep.
go ahead.
Yeah, you just do V and hit tab, but it should complete it. Then I like to put an equal sign. Go back and put an equal sign by it. Then you can start typing in, list, comma, create,
Delete. Do
delete.
they have a space in there? No, it's just
Nah, no spaces.
let's create, delete. Just like that. And I think that's it actually. It's pretty simple.
Do we got resources that we need to put in there?
Yes. The resource is
Uh,
gonna be
yeah,
pods.
so dash dash resources. You can start typing and hit tab and
Okay.
equal,
Pod. Let's see if it
put an
completes
S
for you.
on
Yeah,
it.
it all completed as pod. Or did it? No, I just clicked everything. Let's do pods. And
And that's all you have to do there.
okay. And I'll show
And
you how I
create.
do it right after this.
Cool.
I do it declaratively. I think that's faster because you can do both at the same time. But then we're gonna do key create role bindings. Okay, so that does work, and let's do a dash dash help on that. Okay.
And I think you all you gotta do is put like the name of the role binding, and then you put dash dash role, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Dash dash role or cluster role, and then are we connecting it? Yeah, we're binding it to a user. So in our case, it's gonna be dash dash user dev user. Let's give that a shot. Role binding, name of the role binding is dev dash user binding. And then the role, dash dash role.
Yeah.
And I usually just I don't with the equal sign, you just have space there. And the role is going to be developer. And then dash dash user is going to be dev user. And do we forget anything?
I think that is actually it, since we don't need no namespace or anything.
Okay. And it is created. So to double check to see if we can do those actions, we can do a k auth. Can I dash dash as dev user? And let's do list pods. Yes. And the other options was delete. And we can do that. And what was the last one? Create. And it looks like that's a yes for all of those. So, and just so, I don't know. This might actually be quicker if you know what
Yeah,
you're
the
doing.
imperative always quicker, like I say,
Yeah,
you get practice with it and you can just tab complete through all of them and create a cluster,
yeah,
role and a role binding super
yeah.
quick.
The way I was doing is I was just going over here, and they'll have the example, and you can just replace the name and resource and the verbs and throw it on there. And then you can do a three dash and do your role binding in the same exact file and grab the role binding from in here. It's in the same exact, yeah, it's right here, and configure that. And then you create both of the resources at the same time. But I'll probably say the imperative way is when it's like simple like this, it's probably way quicker. And we could check that. That should be good. Yep. Good stuff, man. Hey, you taught me something.
And I just been learning from practicing and watching PJ.
Yeah. PJ is the GOAT. Let's see. A set of new roles and role bindings are created in the blue namespace for the dev user. However, dev user is unable to get the details of the dark blue app uh, in the blue namespace. Investigate and fix the issue. So let's see what roles and role bindings they have in the blue namespace. Okay, get and blue. And let's do role bindings, or let's do roles first. Developer, and then let's do role bindings. Dev user binding. Um, let's check the role first. Subscribe on it. Let me step it. Oh, for the devs. Okay. So the role says pods. We can get, watch, create, delete pods with the resource name blue app. And I think I see what the issue is. Uh, let me, do you see the issue here?
Oh, I wasn't looking, my bad.
Oh, you fine.
Where we at the bottom on the describe?
Yeah.
Blue app. No, not paying attention to it. What about the role binding?
Yep, let's go ahead and take a look at the role binding.
Because that's what a user would be assigned to it at.
And the role binding, yep, dev user is assigned to it.
What about the namespace? We're missing.
Uh,
We,
I'm only checking in the blue namespace. So these are in the right namespace.
but it's saying like the blue. I mean, who the dev couldn't get it in the blue namespace, right? The dev user,
Yes,
or the dev users
but
unable
these role bindings
in the
are in the
dark
right
blue.
namespace.
So we ain't looked at the dark blue namespace yet.
Uh, Dark blue, the namespace
I
is
mean the dark
blue.
blue app. What the dark blue app is? My bad. I'm all over the place.
Dark blue app is the name of the pod
In the blue
that
name.
hosts the
Gotcha.
application.
Gotcha. So the resource name just say all right, it
Yep,
say blue app, but it don't say dark blue.
exactly. So we gotta change that. And we can just do edits. And there's only one. It should default to it. Yep. And we're just gonna change that resource name to dark blue. Blue app. And Shift CZ. Edit it. And the way we would check this is we can do the kauth command. Kauth, can I, as dev user, can we do an, I'm assuming we can do a namespace here, blue, and let's do, can you, this user, dev user, blue app, get watch create, is to create, oh, sorry, create, pods, dark blue app. Resource name, dark blue app. I don't think, I'm not even sure if this is gonna work, by the way. No. Should be able to create some pods. No. You create pods. I don't know how you would check this.
You do a dash dash help on KR, can I dash dash help?
No headers. Sub resource such as pod. How can I check if I can create a pod with a specific name? I don't think that's something that we can do, but I guess
Ain't this a as
let's just do a k get pod dash as dev user.
Hey, I'm looking at the first example. It looks like it's close to what you're looking for.
Well, it has to be that specific pod, the dark blue app pod.
Yeah, but I'm saying it says right here, this is kubectl auth, can I create pod dash namespace?
Well, for that, if I do that, because you cannot create any pod, you can only create that specific pod. So if I do that, it will say no.
Oh, so even if you insert, oh, that is that the same?
Yeah, that's what I tried earlier just to insert the name of that app, and it still said no. But I'm pretty sure we have the answer correct.
Okay, gotcha.
I just want to know how would we confirm it for test purposes.
I,
So
was-
let's
I was
do
curious about the way that if you needed to have the namespace to be last, and then so it'd be dark blue app, uh, and then dash n blue, kind of like it's up there. But yeah, I could be wrong.
See, I thought you gotta use like when you're trying to list as someone, you gotta do like a dash dash as equal and you put the name. You can try that, but that's what I thought you had to do when you're trying to
Mhm.
like list it anywhere, anybody besides you.
pod and dark blue app. Dark. Okay, so it does work as long as you're looking for dark blue app. So what I did here is I just did a kget pod as dev user in the blue namespace and specifically looking for dark blue app. But you see, if you don't look for that dark blue app, it actually tells you that it's forbidden. And that's why it doesn't really work to use the auth command to get that to like confirm that. But if we just do get pod as that user, that works. So it is working. Can go ahead and hit check. Do you see what I did there?
Yes. So it was the auth that was throwing it off.
Yeah, in this specific scenario, we just can't use the auth command. Because I also did the auth command with the dark blue app specifically, and it did tell me no, or it said the syntax was wrong. Yeah, here's the auth command with the dark blue app. Yeah, it tells you the syntax is wrong. Auth can I create? Let me do erase the create and change it to a get. I'm curious. Yeah, it's still said there. I think with the auth command we can't specify the pod name. Well, there might be another way we have to write it, maybe pod dash. Let's do like that, maybe. Ah, there we go. Okay. So with the kauth, we just have to write the DNS name, or I think that's what you'd call it. I don't know if they say DNS name or the full name, or the FQDN, but you can get it both way. You can confirm that both ways. Okay, next up, add a new rule in the existing role, developer to grant dev user permission to create deployments in the blue namespace. Remember to add group apps. Okay. So let's do the imperative way. Let's see if we can figure out how to do that. Hey Evelyn, how's it going? Okay, create new to existing developer to grant dev user. Oh, so in this case, we need to edit. We don't,
Yeah, you gotta edit that file on this
yeah,
one.
because it's already existing. Let's do edit role. Yeah, and it's in a blue namespace. Developer. All right, perfect. Let me see what we got. Rules. And it tells us specifically to add the group apps. Go ahead and do that. I think when I did it the imperative way. Oh, so okay, my bad. I see. I'm doing that the wrong way. That's what I couldn't remember. So as you can see, there's a list and it starts with the API groups. So we have to create a new entry to the list. And we can actually just copy the rest of this and paste. And what I did to just confirm it, I went over here and I did a Control F. And looking for deploy. Just to see the syntax of it. Deployments rule. Here's a rule for deployments. And we need API group apps, deployment, and then what you can do with the deployment as a verb. So let's come back over here. The only thing that should change, we need to add apps here. And it's still gonna be developer to grant dev user permission to create deployments. So it's any deployment. It doesn't, we don't need the resource name here. We can get rid of that. And resources is gonna be deployments. And what can we do? Permission to create. So we only need create. So let's do a shift V, delete that. Delete that. Apps deployment, make sure that is plural here. Apps and deployments, yep. So that looks good to me. What do you guys think?
I say fire it up.
Let's fire it up. V, and it's edited. And to test it, we can do a K create in the namespace blue dash as dev user and create deploy. I'm gonna change this to use the auth command. Okay, auth dash can I there. What do we mess up here? This. Deploy. Yes, okay. So that checks out. And we're good. That is the whole lab.
Are those the last two commands that you ran?
Say that. What was the question? I'm sorry.
Now I was asking you about the difference between the last two.
Oh, I think I just had them in the wrong order. If you can see, oh, I didn't need to put a dash in front of can I. That's where I messed up. Yeah, because if we go back to go up, this is the no, this is not the commit, right? Where did it go? I'll just copy it here.
Can I, as dev user in the blue namespace, create deployments? Okay.
Yep.
That's it.
I think the only thing I messed up here is with can I don't need to have these dashes here. See, does that work? No, still can I chaos can I as dev user. I guess then the order does matter.
Is it who, where, what?
Dev user. I think the only difference is the order. As dev user. Yeah, the only difference is the order. K auth can I as dev user create the auth.
Oh, look. Oh, in your command, you said, can I create the namespace? Hold on, dang, did I get lost? No, yeah. can I create the blue namespace as DevOps user?
Oh, I put create twice.
Who creates
Yeah,
deployments? Yeah.
I put create twice. I didn't catch that.
My
Let's do this.
I wonder if it's if you have to say who it is, where it is, and what it is.
I think I
don't
just
know.
gotta get rid of this create here.
Okay, gotcha.
No, still. I think it's just the ordering as well matters. Because if you do the dash dash help for kauth dash dash help, then can I? No, it doesn't actually has the as user in here. So dash dash as user as might be a universal. It's probably a universal thing. It's not just for. Oh, it says up here you must be allowed to impersonate global options dash dash as. Pretty much, I think you have to be a root user or a super admin to be able to use a dash dash as.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not going to distract you, man. My bad.
Yeah, no, that was the whole thing on we just went over the role bindings and roles. In the next one is pretty much the same thing, but it's cluster binding and cluster roles. The difference between those two, the cluster binding, cluster roles versus role bindings and roles, is cluster binding and cluster roles are going to be cluster wide. So they're not going to be namespace bound as we're doing here. You're going to have those permissions over the whole cluster. But pretty much the same exact thing. You just replace the role with cluster role and role binding with cluster role binding. We'll go over it next week as well. I'll try to start a little bit earlier, as soon as because I'll still be here. I'll be in Phoenix actually, but I'll still be on the PST time, so we're still gonna be starting at 9 o'clock. But yeah, with that, for today, we are gonna end our session. You know, as always, if you're watching this on YouTube and you find this useful, like and subscribe. And if you want to join our study sessions, just shoot me a message on either YouTube or LinkedIn. I'd love to have you come join us. We should not be learning these stuff in silos. It's a lot easier to grasp these concepts when you have other people to bounce these ideas off of. Yeah, so with that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.